Augustus Titus Flavius Domitianus, Lord of the Empire, do hereby proclaim myself divine. This is the dawn of a new day. The whole universe will recall it as the day of new birth, the advent of the reign of the god Domitian.
Roman society practiced cultic worship of the emperor. They believed that loyalty to the emperor assured prosperity. Christians proclaimed that Jesus is Lord. This is seen as a threat to Roman society and led to the persecution of Christians. With the Great Fire of Rome of AD 64, Rome became more intolerant of other religions. The Apostle John was the last of the 12. All the others had died a violent death. John wrote the book of Revelation when he was 92 years old, a prisoner of Rome on a remote island called Patmos in the Aegean Sea. Now, Patmos was a quarry mine of the Roman Empire and home to political and religious prisoners. Our lesson starts with John speaking to one of the 7 angels. This angel had 7 bowls full of the 7 last plagues. The angel took John in spirit to a high mountain, showing him New Jerusalem descending out of heaven. Describing the most beautiful place ever seen, John marvels at its radiant glow. It is shone with a splendor of God himself because God and Jesus were there. John likens our eternal home to an unflawed gem. To Christians suffering under the Roman domination, John is explaining the greatness of the eternal city. It has great high walls, 12 gates, 4 on each side, inscribed with the names of the 12 tribes of the sons of Israel. 12 foundation stones in the walls with the names of the 12 apostles. The city demonstrates the infinite power, the eternal protection, and the unbounded compassion of God. John describes pure translucent gold paving the main street. This affirms to all Christians that all things belong to God. His splendor and power are beyond even our imagination. John saw no temple, though. When Christians from that Jewish tradition read this, they must have been shocked. A central feature of Jewish hopes included rebuilding a temple. But here in New Jerusalem, there is no temple. A temple in Jewish tradition was a place where God put his presence and his glory, a place that was set aside. But John still saw no temple, for God and the Lamb were the temple. In essence, believers in the eternal city did not need to go to a separate place to meet with God. In this city, there is no holy of holy place where earthly high priests only can tread. Instead, God dwells with his people and lives with them. No sun, no moon, no night, no darkness exists here. John was writing to Christians that knew that darkness was in this world. Darkness and night provided the cover so that men could hide the evil that slithered out when the light was absent. Drunkenness, sexual immorality, murder, stealing. In New Jerusalem, John saw a city shining with the glory of God and Jesus. The deeds of darkness are gone. No more sin, no more temptation, no more evil, no more crime, no more sexual exploitation, no more greed and abuse, no more need for guns, hatred, and fear of a neighbor who looks different, no more. All of these are gone. Nothing and no one impure who would sully the holy city will ever enter the city, even though the gates will never close, welcoming all those who believe. I'm glad we had this lesson this week. It's very relevant to the events of this week. We live in a divided nation. Even among those who confess Jesus as Lord, we have very different perspectives on who we are as a country, as God's people. God's people are split. Some who wonder what our nation has become in the past few years, who see our moral foundations changing, terror changing our lives, rusted factories changing our future, faces, names, and customs in our country changing, seeking only a simpler world where the order that they are familiar with reigns again. God's people are split. Some who wonder what kind of nation we have become, fearing that division will reign again, who hear the speeches and recall the days when our nation had walls, laws, leaders that separated God's people from each other. Tranquility for some was built on the backs of those other. The book of Revelation is comfort, encouraging believers, no matter what side you're on. It says Jesus Christ will be the victor over evil and the deliverer of those righteous to a new place to dwell with him. It's clear that God's acts of judgment are just and good and right. Although it seems at times that evil dominates, the message of the book of Revelation says Jesus is going to win. Therefore, no matter what, we must still be encouraged. That's the lesson for this week. You all have a nice week. Bye.